Jenny for putting all of this together. Wanted to thank our career coaching and employer connections staff and faculty who are joining us, career development staff and faculty, and also any of our, I'm at the Lafayette campus. I'm Jessica Farrell. I'm one of the career coaches from the Lafayette campus. So thanking our Lafayette staff and faculty for joining us. But most especially, I wanted to thank all of our Ivy Tech students and alumni. It's great to see all of you here today, especially during spring break. And also wanted to mention, I'm pretty blunt, I should say that at the beginning. I recognize some of you from the Lafayette campus, so it's great to see you. So some of you know I'm already blunt. I tell it the way it is. But I wanted to say one thing at the beginning of the presentation when it comes to the job search process. So those of us, the staff who work in the career offices, we do get a lot of contact from our employer and organization partners, community partners. We have many employers and organizations who love hiring Ivy Tech students and graduates. Sometimes it feels, as I said, I'm blunt, sometimes it feels as if we need more students and alumni. So, and we're biased. We think Ivy Tech is wonderful, and it is, but it's proven every day because employers want to get applications, they want to get resumes and cover letters from you because they want to hire you. And in a few minutes, I'll be talking about where to find those job postings, especially from the ones who specifically are looking for you, for Ivy Tech students and graduates. But before we go into that discussion, I just want to put up another poll quickly. Jessica, if we could put up the one about how long does everyone think it would take to find a job? And feel free to answer that poll as I'm chatting, because I want to spend a little bit of time on this part here about the type of job. So sometimes we break down the job search process by the type of opportunity you're looking for, whether it's a full-time, what we call a permanent position, a part-time, seasonal job, internship, summer. But really, a lot of those job search strategies apply to all of those types of positions. And again, when it comes to looking for jobs, we do have what we call direct applications, where you're looking for the job postings themselves. Usually these days, just about every direct application would be online. It's pretty rare that people are handing in paper applications. But then networking also plays a big role, and we'll get to that also. So before I go into the conversation about more education or another degree, I'm just looking here because I signed in twice. I'm just looking in terms of the poll results. So most of you mentioned that it takes about 5 months, and then some people mentioned 6 to 9. A few people mentioned 1 to 2 months. Honestly, what we've noticed over the years, and from our conversations with our employer partners or human resources partners, it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 months when you're looking for a job. And we don't say that to sound scary, it's just to help better prepare you. And also so that candidates don't worry if they don't hear back within a month or so. And I'll just quickly go over why it can take that long. So many organizations, because they do want to be transparent with their hiring process, especially when they want to take into account that they want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to apply for positions. They want to be more inclusive when it comes to the job search process. So they will post the job sometimes for 1 or 2 months, and then it may take them another month or 2 to go through the applications, especially if they have a hiring committee with several people on there. And then it may take another month or so to schedule the interviews. With some opportunities, there may be multiple interviews. And I know that we do have some of that information as part of Career Camp this year. So definitely take advantage of information on the interview process. And then of course, there's the job offer process. So you can see how that would, you know, tack on another 2, 3, maybe even 4 months. So whenever you are hoping to start working, regardless of the type of job it is, you just want to back that out by about 4 months or so. So if anyone's hoping to start a position either in May or June of this year, this is the time to start looking, whether it's a full-time career-related opportunity or summer or internship. If anyone's hoping to start in August, you still would want to start looking now. And then I would say in December, you may want to start looking in late summer, early fall for that. How does that sound so far? Any questions, comments?
We have some, we're talking in the chat, of course, we're chatting Kathy's.
Yeah.
But, you know, Crystal says 3 to 6 months sounds right. And Sharonda said as a preschool teacher, it took her about 3 months after she started her search to land that gig.
Sure. And again, that's great to hear. Thank you everyone for sharing. And it sometimes will vary on the field. And now I'm going to bring up a bit of an awkward topic, which is COVID-19. That certainly has had an impact on some industries when it comes to their hiring. Some of them did have to pause, and now they're starting up again, whereas others had more demand because of the situation. So there's always going to be a lot of variance between industries by what's happening in the current economy. But again, that's why we really want all of you to reach out to us, to those of us in the career offices. So you're not alone going through the process. We're here to walk alongside with you. And one other item I just want to mention, depending on the field you're looking at, the career, it may involve continuing education, other courses, another degree. And again, feel free to reach out to us in the career offices so that we can talk more about that as well. So we'll jump into our discussion about the job postings themselves. We had started this conversation a little bit earlier in terms of where to find the jobs, and most of them will be online. These days, just about every job opportunity will be online. And I'll try to make a long story short, but back in the day, before all this wonderful technology developed, came along, you would have to go to businesses, to organizations to find out if they were hiring. We would look through newspaper classifieds for that, you know, actual paper or newspapers. And we would even go into our college career offices. We used to keep binders of paper job postings that the employers would drop off or they would mail to us and then eventually email. But I would say about 10, well, more than that, 15 to 20 years or so ago, this whole process moved online. So it's made it so much easier for students to find the job postings, to apply to it. But it's changed the nature of the application process a little bit. So hold on to that thought. I'm going to talk more about that towards the end of our presentation, but I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about, again, where to find the job postings themselves. And I see that Jessica has also put in there about Indiana Internet. These are for internships across the state. So what I might do is let me start with Indiana Internet first and talk a little bit about that, because internships are one of the ways that we can quote unquote get our foot in the door. Those are some of the questions that we do get from students and alumni quite a bit, is how can we get experience in our field, in our program, in our major, if we've never worked in that field before. So finding and applying for internships, that's a really great way to go about doing that. So I'm just going to open up their website, and I think they did a rebranding as well. They're now known as Work and Learn. And we have the link on our statewide career development site. So just bear with me as I'm toggling back and forth between the websites. So this is Ivy Tech statewide career development site. And if you click on information for students and alumni, we also have a link to there as well, to Indiana Internet. But what's great is you can set up an account and see all of the great internships across the state. And we've also had students ask us, why would an employer, why would an organization hire a student? Why would they hire an intern who hasn't yet finished their degree? Well, there's a few reasons. One is a lot of fields, a lot of industries, they realize how important it is for them to play that role in providing those experiences for students, those hands-on applied experiences. And you also notice a number of the internship opportunities. They are, of course, available year-round, but many of them are also offered during the summer months. So if anyone wants to put this into the chat or just unmute correctly, it's a quick pop quiz. But for those of us who are working full-time or have worked full-time in the past, what do we like to do, or what we used to do during the summer months? Maybe pre-COVID, but what's common for full-time staff to do during the summer months?
We've got vacation.
Yes, vacation. And we'll get back to that too. You know, things are certainly, we're turning the corner here with COVID. So that was another reason why many organizations loved hiring students for summer internships. It was really a way for their full-time staff to take their vacations and travel, as I see there in the chat. But the other reason is for some organizations, and again, I'll be blunt, it's hard making a decision on who they should hire for a full-time permanent position. So what better way to, for lack of a better way of saying this, test drive a candidate by hiring them into an internship or a short-term part-time contract opportunity. So definitely take advantage of applying for those positions. And what I'll do at this point, I'm just going to showcase another great, I mean, we think it's great, another great resource for job posting. So you can get to it from your My Ivy account. And there's the icon on the front page on the dashboard for Hire Ivy. So if you haven't already logged into Hire Ivy, we'll probably want you to set up the account and do the email verification. But for those employers who are looking to hire Ivy Tech students and graduates who are looking to get applications from you, this is where they will post their job. So as we were saying earlier, those of us in the career offices at Ivy Tech, we get contacted on a regular basis from employers who are wanting to get applications from Ivy Tech candidates. So this is where they will be posted. And I'm going to do a little more chatting, but while I'm going through that information, Jessica, if we can put up the other poll about, do you think that candidates get jobs from online job postings? If you want to put that one up and we'll see what people say.
Gotcha.
Thank you. So just a few of the things I wanted to point out in Hire Ivy on the left navigation bar. You have some really great student resources, career development portfolios. So within the student resources section, that's where we have information about writing resumes, cover letters, interviewing. It's, you know, in a way, a one-stop shop. A lot of great online resources, but then certainly still reach out to your career staff at your campus. And then we also have the career development portfolio where you can start to check off some of those milestones that are part of your career process. So meeting with one of the career coaches, writing a resume, cover letter, it's all part of that, getting that career development portfolio completed. We also have event information in here, like the ones taking place now. And we also have more information about work and learn, which is also related to internships. So what we'll do at this point, I'll just open up the jobs and internship section within Higher Ivy. And I'm going to come back to the poll in a minute. I'm seeing the results here, so I'm very excited. So we have also, again, a link to Indiana Internet within Higher Ivy. We also have links to government and nonprofit boards. We have a link to Indiana Career Connect, which is job postings across the state of Indiana. We have Indeed, which is a nationwide job search, kind of helps to gather all together job postings across the nation. And LinkedIn also, I know there was the earlier great LinkedIn presentation, but the ones that are specifically for Ivy Tech students, we have them here under the jobs and the internships board. So this is where you will find those postings that have been put in here by employers looking for Ivy Tech candidates. So I want to go back to the poll we just did. Many of you did say that yes, people do get job opportunities by applying online. And the reason why I mention that is sometimes we'll hear, whether it's an article we've read or something we've heard on the television, sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, no one ever gets a job by applying to an online posting. And I usually say the answer is no, that people do get jobs from applying to those online postings, but they have to get through a few filters is a nice way to say that. And again, hold on to that thought. But the other reason I like to discuss it during this presentation is let's talk about these online postings here. So these are all from employers who've taken time. Again, I'm pretty blunt. They have taken time out of their busy schedules to reach out to Ivy Tech to post their jobs here, whether it's the manager or the supervisor for that job, the human resources staff member. They've reached out to us, to Ivy Tech, to post their job in Higher Ivy because they do want to get applications from Ivy Tech candidates. So it is definitely worthwhile to apply to these jobs online. And even in Higher Ivy, many times you will be redirected back to the organizations or the employer's website because they want you to get your application, your resume into their, what we call applicant tracking system. So again, hold on to that thought. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. So I was glad to see that. And then in terms of internships, there are opportunities for recent graduates as well. I always recommend that when it comes to the internships to also apply to those because, again, it's another way for an employer to quote unquote test drive a candidate before they think about making a full-time job offer. It could be that some of the internships may be just for current students, but I still recommend applying to those opportunities, whether you're a current student or a graduate as well. Any other questions, comments? So we've touched upon all of these. Again, we do have links to them through Higher Ivy and also your generic websites like Indeed. There's also Monster. But we also really recommend that candidates apply directly through employer websites. So you do want to, there's really no easy way for me to say this, but all of you, depending on your search, the industry you want to work in, your Ivy Tech program, you're going to want to create your own list of employers and look on their website on a regular basis for job opportunities. Again, whether it's full-time, part-time, internship, summer, you really will want to customize it to your particular situation. And this is, again, where the career services staff at the Ivy Tech campuses can really help you out with that process, which employers you should be looking at as part of your customized list. And I know everyone is so busy. You have your classes, your academics, work, you have other commitments. So in some ways, think about it as these are short study breaks you're taking in terms of putting together that customized list of employers, looking on their websites on a regular basis for those job postings. But at the same time, you also do want to work in the networking piece. It's not always that networking will necessarily lead directly to a job opportunity. It just helps you to learn more about the opportunities that may be out there, and also to get a better understanding of the particular industry or industries that you want to target. But let me start off on this end of the slide when it comes to networking. And when we talk about networking in terms of your job search, we really mean telling everyone you know that you're looking, and literally everyone you know. Friends, family members, people you've worked with in the past or volunteered with, faculty, staff, neighbors, literally everyone you know. And this is again where I may not always be able to say this tactfully, so I do. So I just say it. So don't assume that because, let's say you have a cousin, and we'll call your cousin Ivy. Don't assume that cousin Ivy can't help you because Ivy doesn't work in the field or has a job in the field that you're looking to be in. You don't know everyone that cousin Ivy knows, and you don't know who cousin Ivy is going to meet 4 months from now. So it's still good to just reach out to everyone you know in your network and remind them about your job search, your job and internship search. The other piece I like to mention is sometimes it's not even finding out about job opportunities, but just finding out about organizations where you would be interested in working at. That's another way you can quote unquote get your foot in the door. It may not even be about specific job opportunities, but is there someone that you could talk to at that organization? Like we heard about in the earlier career management video. Is there someone you could set up a meeting with? I know it's a little bit tricky with the COVID situation, but you may be able to set up a Zoom meeting, a virtual meeting by email. Some organizations are now starting to meet in person, but to chat with them about that industry, that career in general, make that connection with them, even if they're not hiring right now. When they know about an opportunity 5 or 6 months from now, you'll have already made that connection with them. So that's another way, again, that you can get your foot in the door when it comes to your job and internship search. So we'll just move on to the next part of the slide here with professional societies and organizations. So many industries, many of the Ivy Tech programs or majors, they are related to some type of professional society. And I'm just going to toggle back to the browser here because I want to showcase a really great resource for Ivy Tech students. So again, you can get to it from our statewide career development website under information for students and alumni. We were already looking at indianaintern.net, but this website here, what can I do with this major? This is wonderful. So in addition to providing information about what can you do with that major or program, and I'm just going to click on accounting because it's the first one there. So in addition to the information that they give you about accounting, the areas you can work in, some of the strategies, the types of employers, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, this is where they will list some of those related professional associations. And yeah, you may need to pay. So you may want to reach out to us to talk about that. But others may have either lower or no fees, membership fees for students. But if you join those professional societies, it may give you access to job postings and also more information about that field. And you may even have access to the membership list. So that's another great way to reach out to people who are working in your field and set up those informational interviews. Again, another way to get your foot in the door. And they also have additional job posting sites on here that are tailored to that specific program. So that's another really great website that I love to talk about. And then I will bring up this topic here in the middle about events. So when I started to have these presentations, it was just on-campus events. But again, with COVID, it's kind of shifted our mindset. So many organizations, Ivy Tech included, but also employers, they also have virtual events such as career fairs, but we will start to see more in-person campus events coming along. I've noticed a few of the employers, at least in the Lafayette area, are now having in-person, literally job fairs they're looking to hire. So we try to get that information posted through Hire Ivy and through some of the other sites as well. But speaking of sites, let's have continue our online networking discussion. So many employers are really taking advantage of both LinkedIn, which is a professional networking site, and we had our earlier fantastic LinkedIn presentation, but they also take advantage of the social sites, the social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I've noticed over the years that a number of employers, they're posting their job openings, both on LinkedIn, but also on their social media accounts. And they will sometimes give you advice on how you can increase your chances of both applying to those opportunities, but also getting an interview. So those are great to take advantage of. And I have one last video, no, actually second to last video that I'm going to play about virtual networking. Again, some really great advice in under 2 minutes about how you can leverage virtual networking. And these videos are also on the statewide career development site. When you click into the information for students and alumni, they're on the right-hand side here. So they're really great because they're short, they're packed full of great advice. If you can build in a short study break, 5 or 10 minutes, they're great to watch. And what I love about this one too, so they added some new ones in the virtual world, and they actually filmed them virtually. So again, let me toggle back. Let me switch between the audio here so you can hear it.
Virtual networking is honestly the new normal. So we're learning how to embrace virtual networking. And the biggest tip that I can give you is just don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
So where a student might think this feels uncomfortable, guess what? It does for an employer as well. This thing that I'm used to shaking hands, that now I have to leverage things like Teams or Zoom to be able to engage, for LinkedIn. It's okay. We are all on this journey together.
It's a great time to build out your network online, and by doing that, you'll build a really strong foundation for future growth.
With Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram, we now have more capacity to reach out to individuals. LinkedIn alone gives students the capacity to reach an organization and a member of the organization a lot quicker.
You can do more than like other people's LinkedIn posts. You can actually comment and ask them questions. So that's similar to what you would do if you were face-to-face at a networking event. Ask someone an open-ended question, and that just opens the platform for engaging.
I would reach out to your existing contacts out there. Think about, who those contacts are, how they align to what you're studying today, what you want to do in the future. Build, a couple of those contacts a little deeper.
But what I do not think they should do is be pushy, right? Don't try to do more than is necessary. Reach out, connect, share your experiences, share your educational experience, ask questions, but don't push until they're ready to be pushed.
Don't just reach out to them and hit connect, but think of a really good, solid message on why you want to connect with them and put that in the language when you want to connect with them.
engage with employers, engage with your colleagues, engage with fellow students, and be able to forge relationships, because that now is our new norm.
You may meet someone and connect with them today, and hey, maybe it's not the right company nor the right job, but you never know where they're going to go or where you're going to go. So it could build that foundation for the future.
Again, some really great advice about taking advantage of networking, both in person and also virtually. So when it comes to networking, as I was saying earlier, it may not always lead to a specific job opportunity, but again, can still help you connect with people in the industry. So it's definitely worthwhile. It will always seem as if you're investing more time. Like I said, I'm pretty blunt. I won't sugarcoat it. It will always seem as if you're investing more time in this process and the return you're getting, but it's definitely worth it in the long run. Definitely worth it to build in. Again, I know everyone is so busy, but definitely worth it to build in that time to take advantage of that in-person and virtual networking, looking for those job opportunities. And then of course, also getting together your resume and your cover letter. So we had another great presentation that Wendy did about writing resumes. So if you had a chance to attend, fantastic. If not, we've recorded it, so you'll be able to watch it. But I just want to discuss a little bit about the job search process and the impact that some of these online job postings, some of these online software programs have in relation to the resume document. So I know that sounds like I'm going off on a big tangent, but just bear with me. I'm going to connect all of that in a minute. And Jessica had also put in the chat about connecting on LinkedIn. So that's a really great resource to take advantage of. So I'm going to jump ahead to this slide here. Any questions, comments?
I guess I kind of have one.
Yes,
Sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, in that video, the one person said not to push, don't be pushy. But yet I've heard employers say, well, I like to see how interested they are, how much incentive they have to go for it. So how do you know where that fine line, you've crossed that fine line?
Yes. So I always joke, like I said, I'm pretty blunt. I always joke, you can talk to 10 managers, human resources staff, and you'll get 11 different opinions because they all have different ideas of what's too pushy. So I think, and I don't want to speak for the one representative in the video, but I think they get a little concerned, as everyone would, if they get too many contacts in a short period of time. So connecting over LinkedIn and then waiting for that response, or if you do have a phone number or email, if you've been referred to that, reaching out to that person, and then maybe following up with them once a month or so. I think if they get 3 or 4 contacts in 1 week, that's when they start to get a little uncomfortable. So I would still recommend, and for our career colleagues on the I was going to say on the line, on the call, but on the Zoom meeting, if you have other additional advice as well. But what I've usually recommended based on my experiences working career services and also speaking with human resources staff and managers, they love that initial contact, maybe following up within 2 weeks or so, and then once a month or so for that. And they may not always get back right away, but they are noticing that someone is reaching out to them. If that sounds good. Other comments about that?
Thank you.
Sure. Which is a really nice segue into this slide here, because that's another question we get. We used to tell students and candidates, I'm going to date myself here. This was years ago before we had all this online technology. After someone mailed in their resume or submitted an application, we would usually recommend that they call them even before email came out. And it was really to make sure that the organization received the resume, received the application, especially in cases where it was being mailed in. The candidate wanted to make sure that the employer had received it. And many employers appreciated that, you know, just in case the resume, when it arrived at the mailroom or at the front desk, to make sure that it hadn't been misplaced or something like that. But a lot of this has changed now with the online applications, because many times you will get an automated response that you have applied. But I still recommend, even if you just find the generic phone number on the company's website or their general email inbox, you may want to give a quick call or send a short email, just letting them know that you've applied. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, you'll probably just get that standard response. But those rare times where they may actually put you through or send your email on to someone in human resources or to that actual supervisor or manager could be very valuable. So if you want to, you know, build in 2 or 3 minutes to do that follow-up after submitting the resume or the resume and cover letter, that's great. But one other thing I also wanted to mention when it comes to the job search process, I kind of break it down into 3 levels. There's the part of finding the job opportunities, finding the job postings, submitting your resume and cover letter, and then hopefully the interview process. So we're going to focus a little bit on this middle part here, which is once you found the job posting, then you're submitting your resume and cover letter. And as we were saying, most of it today is online. Even if you've been referred to that opportunity by someone you know, someone in your network, the organization, the company will almost always want you to submit the online application just because they can track it. And because it's March 17th, I have a little leprechaun here. With the applicant tracking systems, with those online applications, sometimes we do get these little leprechauns who live in the applicant tracking systems. So yes, I see the question in here about getting past those applicant tracking systems. I could probably, and those of us who work in ivytech's career offices, we could probably spend another hour talking about this. And I actually love talking about it, but I know we only have about 5 minutes left. So I have another great video that I'm going to play. It really just touches the tip of the iceberg, but it has some great advice about dealing with those applicant tracking systems and the little leprechauns who live in them. And Jessica also mentioned keywords. So everyone hold on to that thought. I'm going to play that video now. Again, it's also from Career Spots. And this is a newer one. They used to have an earlier version of this, but they refilmed it virtually again, and they really kicked it up a notch. They provided some additional great advice in there. So
when you're job searching out of college, you're putting your cover letter and your resume out there, and your chances are it's going to go through some sort of HR search process, or people are just going to read through it and they're going to be looking for keywords that make you seem attractive for that job.
Keywords and resumes just help you stand out amongst others and really help you to be more accessible from a recruiting perspective.
When we're looking at keywords, I would say about 75% of companies or organizations utilize applicant tracking systems. And these are scanning your resume for keywords or phrases. And your resume is only seen by recruiters or hiring managers if your resume has the keywords or phrases that are in there.
You look at the job description and the keywords that are continually highlighted you put into your cover letter and your resume that you send to that recruiter, to that job.
Put keywords in that are going to help you to look like you've focused on a specific role that you're trying to go after, and truly have the right focus, mindset, mentality, and experience to what the recruiter is looking for that specific role.
For instance, if you're looking for a job in my field, in the nonprofit world, development, fundraising, then you want to make sure that you include that you have fundraising experience. You want to use words like grant writing and networking and philanthropic and words like that, because that's going to cue them into, oh, okay, this person's into the field.
There's a method that I like to use sometimes, and it's using what's called a word cloud generator. You can take the job description, put it inside of the generator, and it's going to bring up a screen full of words. The larger the word, the more often it appears in the job description. The other way is there's a website called jobscan.co. You can actually upload, paste your resume in, copy and paste the job description in, and it does an analysis of your resume against the job description and provides you the keywords that they think are in your resume and that may be missing from your resume.
There are a lot of industries, organizations that will process resumes electronically. And if the resumes do not contain certain keywords that they're looking for, those applicants don't have any chance of even getting in front of or having the option to have an interview.
You got to put time, you got to invest the effort, because that's what's going to set you apart from other people that are just sending that same cover letter across the board.
So yes, we didn't plan that, but JobScan is a great website to use. And even though this was a job search presentation, I do like to talk a little bit about the role of applicant tracking systems and your resume and cover letter, because I think that sometimes where some of that frustration comes from, when as candidates, we are applying to jobs, we are applying to these online job postings, and we're not hearing back, we're not getting any interviews. It's not because those online job postings don't work, like we were saying earlier. That's why we have employers sometimes feels like they're chasing after us at times and posting in Hire Ivy, but it's because of those applicant tracking systems of software. So again, we always want to just remind all of our Ivy Tech students and alumni, you don't have to go through this alone by yourself. We're here to help you out. We have links to the campus offices for career development, the career coaching and employer connections offices from the website here. So again, I just wanted to thank all of our wonderful Ivy Tech students and alumni for joining us, and all of our great staff and faculty who helped put all this together. Thank you again for letting me present. This is always one of my favorite topics to talk about. And I always feel like I have one more thing I need to say. But what we were also talking about when it comes to the job postings themselves, in addition to the applicant tracking systems, the job postings themselves, I could talk for another hour. But I find that sometimes I wish they were written better. So sometimes you'll also come across job postings, even for current students and recent graduates, that ask for 2 to 3 years experience, 5 to 10 years experience. And it's, because they hadn't tailored it, or they forgot to take that piece out. So don't ever feel discouraged. Come and talk with us. We can help you with that process.